PNG helps Tonga to host next Pacific Games.
Papua New Guinea government will support.
ICCC urges businesses to lower prices of goods and services.
None of the business houses are being honest.
The Hunters to open National Football Stadium.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Batulo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Monday's news. The Papua New Guinea government has reaffirmed its commitment to assist the island kingdom of Tonga to host the next Pacific Games in 2019. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill reassured his visiting Tongan counterpart today in a bilateral meeting. PNG has also offered to lend its expertise at the request of the Tongan government. Deli Waigeno reports.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill met with the Prime Minister of Tonga, Samuela Akilisi-Pohiva, in a bilateral meeting today at the Prime Minister's office. Mr. Pohiva was accompanied by his delegation, including Tonga's CEO for Sports and Minister for Internal Affairs. Also present was PNG's Minister for Sports and Tourism, Justin Tichenko. In a closed-door bilateral meeting, both Prime Ministers exchanged gifts and discussed matters of mutual interest. In the media conference that followed, Prime Minister Pohiva said Tonga needed help to host the 2019 Pacific Games.
Tonga does not have the financial and technical capacity to host the sport.
Prime Minister O'Neill announced that the PNG government would lend a helping hand.
So today I want to, on behalf of the Papua New Guinea government, state that Papua New Guinea government will support the Tongan government in the hosting of 2019 Games.
Mr. O'Neill said Tonga is in a similar situation to where PNG was, where it inherited from the previous government the task of hosting the regional games. Mr. O'Neill said PNG has experience in delivering the games under difficult circumstances.
We've offered them that we will give them the expertise that they require. Some of our management of our South Pacific Games will be available at request from the Tongan government. If they do so require, we will assist them.
PNG has also offered to rebuild the main stadium, which will be hosting the track and field events in the capital Nuku'alofa. PNG will also assist to build a high-performance center. The Tongan Prime Minister was grateful for the pledge of assistance.
I must thank you once again, and the Minister of Sport and Tourism, a very active minister. You have enormous natural resources. All you have to do is to organize, manage your resources and your natural and your human resources, and then Papua New Guinea will become the most powerful nation in the South Pacific.
The delegation from Tonga will depart PNG tomorrow, having visited the sports facilities in Port Moresby. When asked about the monetary value of Papua New Guinea's assistance to Tonga in hosting the 2019 Pacific Games, the Prime Minister said a final decision will be made following recommendations from an assessment team which will travel to Tonga. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Accident Investigation Commission has launched its first laboratory that can assist investigators examine recorded data from aircraft accidents. The setup of the lab means PNG aircraft investigators can analyze data here instead of taking it to Australia.
Past accidents in the aviation industry in the country has seen investigators retrieving the black box from the crash site and taken to Australia for data analysis. But the process of analyzing flight data and cockpit voice recorder can now be carried out by PNG investigators in the country. Today, Civil Aviation Minister David Stephen launched the first portable laboratory and recorded data download facility at the Accident Investigation Commission office in Port Moresby.
But I say on behalf of the aviation sector that for some time now we have not been given the attention that we deserve. That when we look at the budget allocation, what we receive in the aviation sector is very insignificant compared to the importance of this mode of transport.
The Civil Aviation Minister says the sector is highly regulated worldwide and PNG has no excuse but to keep up with the changing trend. In the last 5 years, all agencies in the transport and aviation sectors have not received any budget increase from the national government. Despite this, the aviation industry has made significant improvements in airports facilities and now with the work of aircraft investigators. PNG AIC Chief Executive Officer Captain David Inau says the aviation sector receives only 3% of the total budget allocated to transport, road and infrastructure projects. However, he says with the installment of the new laboratory, cockpit voice recorder and flight data records can now be analyzed in the country instead of taking it to Australia.
We are slowly building capacity. This is a small but a significant progress in the capacity that we're building in AIC. And we see this as a positive step.
Quinten Alom, National EMTV News.
The national government through the Works Department is committed to rehabilitating major highways in the country. This was announced by Works Secretary David Were during a recent inspection of the Highlands Highway. Secretary Were said major works from Western Highlands, Southern Highlands to the Hela Province, including other areas like the West New Britain Highway, will be completed by 2018.
The national government's priority remains in the development of key infrastructure areas throughout the country. Health and education plus roads and infrastructure development are some of the priorities the government has worked to develop in the last 3 years. From December last year, a series of major inspections on these priority areas have been carried out by the Prime Minister's Department, all in all to compile a report that will be presented in next month's Leaders Summit.
A lot of Papua New Guineans don't know that DSIP has done a significant amount of development in a lot of districts, but we are not seeing the results of it. It's not coming out to the public very clearly so people understand that development is taking place in those districts. So the purpose of that Leaders Summit in there, part of it is to look at all the developments that are taking place in districts.
Last Friday, the Kagul to Walume Road from Western Highlands to Southern Highlands was inspected, and the Works Secretary David Were announced the progress of the major works along the Highlands Highway.
We are doing all our best to see that a lot of the sections that used to be in impassable condition are now improved, and this is giving the road users much easy access into Lae at a much reduced time than it used to. So we are saving a lot of time already.
Mr. Were also announced the upgrade from Southern Highlands' Kiburu Junction to Nipa and into Hela Province is set to be complete by the end of 2017. This also includes other major works around the country like the New Britain Highway.
We have 4 other major contracts awarded to cover the entire Hela section. It is our target to see that by 2017, 2018, we'd like to seal it all the way down to Koroba and get down to Como.
For locals living along the Kagul, Walume to Kiburu Highway, they say the rehabilitation projects have cost them a lot in terms of relocating their homes and properties on the side of the highway. However, they say it's for the better.
30 minutes drive, go again, come back.
Other major highways have been inspected in the autonomous region of Bougainville and New Island Province. These inspections are to show the country the services of the government in which it is committed to deliver.
For us in the Department of Prime Minister, in support of the Prime Minister, we want to do that. And we've started doing that, and we will continue to do that until we see all the major projects are completed and fully commissioned.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, ICCC, is concerned that business houses in Papua New Guinea are doing injustice to ordinary consumers. ICCC Commissioner Paulus Ayen said there has been a cumulative decrease of over 40% in global fuel prices. However, there hasn't been any decrease to the prices of goods and services domestically.
ICCC is appealing to the business community, particularly the transport sector, manufacturing, wholesale and retail industries to share the benefits of the lower fuel prices with their customers by reducing the prices of the goods and services they provide. ICCC Commissioner Paulus Ain said there are factors that contribute to the high operating business cost, but given the cumulative decrease of 43.9% in fuel price over the last 15 months, consumers should now be paying less for some goods and services.
Nobody is telling us that I am the first one reducing the price of rice, tin fish. Nobody is telling the people of this country. None of the business houses are being honest. None of the airlines are telling us that we are reducing because we have the fuel price changes. Everyone is very silent.
From July 2014 to December 2015, the global crude oil prices have decreased by a total of 69%. This has resulted in the decrease of domestic retail prices for petrol by 36.1%, diesel by 48%, and kerosene by 47.6%. The Commission said that since fuel is the major cost driver in any cost input, operational cost of business should be rationalized.
Fuel is the one that's driving the economy. That we all know. So if fuel price is falling, what else is considered as goods and services supplied prices must come down.
ICCC cannot force anyone to reduce their prices, but if business houses do not comply, ICCC will have to regulate it. This means that ICCC will have to do price controlling of some goods and services instead of just monitoring. ICCC will also have to meet with the Chamber of Commerce to discuss the matter. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Nari appeals for assistance for drought-affected communities and the latest on the KOKODA attack. Those stories and more after the break. Welcome back to the news. The National Agriculture Research Institute has appealed to government agencies to pay close attention to the needs of communities going through the post-drought period. NARI says communities who are now experiencing rain will continue to require food rations for the next 8 months as food gardens recover.
The post-drought period, the time when parts of the country are experiencing rain after 8 months of drought, is a critical time for many. This is when the state of food insecurity is heightened as food gardens are destroyed. What many communities are experiencing now is an increase in fungal diseases brought on by the wet weather.
It is a very critical situation, and it does call for further support, if I may add, from government and from other sources to help these people, especially if they have not had early maturing planting materials and been unable to do any planting of early maturing crops.
Prior to the 2015 drought, NARI's Director General warned that districts should be preparing for the drought. Over the last 8 months, Papua New Guinea's drought response has been limited in some areas, and funding has remained a critical area of concern. Now the government research body says the new phase after the drought could leave many people without any food at all as the crops struggle to recover.
Communities that are close to a main provincial centre or a highway or a sea wharf, I mean, they have access to friends and wantoks and other sources of food. Could be store foods and so on. But when they are further remote areas, as we have seen for the people in Komba, in Kabul or in Rupmin in Teleformin, really such input is not possible from food sources outside of the area.
In the Morobe province, staple crops like cacao are being destroyed by pests. Replanting the seeds won't help unless disease-free crops are supplied. And to do that, NARI needs at least 10 million kina. It already has a submission sent to the national government, but that funding hasn't yet come. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
The constraints of providing relief supplies to everyone affected by last year's 8-month drought period in Madang has led to the kidnapping of the Madang Disaster Director Rudolf Mongali. Mr. Mongali was hijacked by 4 youth and taken to the jungles of Vanuma area of the Sumka district and questioned on why the office is giving too much attention to the Manam Islanders and not to other districts.
Returning from one of the relief supplies delivery trips from the Manam Islanders care centers, the disaster director was held up at a roadblock by 4 youths.
I took them all the way, to where they want, because I can't do anything because they were armed with bush knives and everything like that. And then I spent a whole night in the bush. It was 12 kilometers away from the main road. I went up to the bush up there, and then I stayed with them. They were cooperating, and then they left me and then they went home.
Mongali was questioned by his kidnappers as to why his department is giving too much attention to the Manam Islanders.
They said, why are you so concerned about Manam people? Huh? I said, no, it's not concerned about Manam alone. That's the government priority. The priority is for the government to look into the situation because they are IDPs, meaning that they are internal displaced people. And it's the responsibility of the government to look into that. So I explained it to them, and then, as human, they got a bit frustrated, and then they start saying everything, and they slapped me and all this.
The disaster director says he is fully aware that incidents like this kidnapping indicate that the people are frustrated and are trying to get answers, which they have the right to.
The services which I should deliver, I'm not delivering, because there's no cooperation between the district. It's not the district administration I'm talking about, but the funding from the district, the SIP. That's the funding that should be released in order that I can coordinate to supply the relief.
The Manam Islanders, on the other hand, are also one of the most frustrated people because they were affected by the double impacts of the minor eruption and the 8-month drought that followed last year. According to one of their leaders, the disaster office has to communicate well with leaders on the ground so that the right message is passed on to the people to avoid incidents like this kidnapping.
The problem disaster must less when the leaders, also ward members, or KOKODA staff, or record staff, so must less, so just like coordination must stop.
The Adi Tuna Cannery has so far been the only company in the province that has donated 600 cartons of tin fish to the Madang Disaster Office. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
It has been a week since the KOKODA attack of tourists Matthew Levain and Michelle Clements. 2 suspects were flown in last Friday from Efogi village in Central Province to Port Moresby to be interrogated on the incident. Central Police Commander Laimo Asi today spoke off-camera on the progress of the investigations so far.
Police Commander Laimo Asi has said that the 2 suspects are currently under interrogation and that they are waiting medical reports from Paradise Private Hospital. When asked what the situation would be if the female victim, Michelle Clements, refused to give medical reports, Asi responded saying that there would be no point holding the suspects on rape charges as there would be no evidence to charge the suspects with. MTV also asked Asi that there were reports from locals stating that the couple acted inappropriate while tracking. Asi responded that the 2 suspects did say that the 2 acted inappropriate in front of them while tracking. We also asked Asi if he had watched the interview on The Sun of the couple in Sydney explaining their attack and on the fact that they appeared not traumatized. He responded saying that at the hospital the couple were reluctant to speak, which police took as that they were traumatized. Adelaide Sirox-Kari, National EMTV News.
The KOKODA Track Development and Livelihood Association, representing the local KOKODA Track people, want the KOKODA Track Authority to firm up its policies to enforce security along the track. The call comes after the alleged rape of 2 foreign tourists. The communities along the KOKODA Track corridor say they are willing to work closely with relevant authorities.
Security along the KOKODA track has been an ongoing issue with many reported and unreported cases of criminal incidents. The recent alleged rape incident further heightened calls for more effort to beef up security. The local KOKODA track people yesterday reached an understanding to make security a priority. One of the resolutions was for community leaders to start taking ownership in their respective villages to address law and order problems. The KOKODA Track Authority has also been challenged to strengthen its policies to safeguard the interest of the local people and tourists using the track. The people say development on the ground is very minimal and that the trekking fee of 350 kina be paid to the people. However, the disbursement structure of the trekking fee is managed in such a way that part of it is used by KTA for its administration cost. They say KTA should be funded by the government to manage its affairs and not from the people's trekking fees. The sustainability of the trek is crucial for the economy and the livelihood of the people, and the good image of the trek must be restored to ensure its sustainability. Mickey Cavera, National MTV News.
Victims of sea piracy along the coastal waters of Morobe province have called on the government to assist police in the province with a water policing unit. The unit will be responsible for marine policing and will take charge of sea piracy matters. This crime has been on the increase in the Momasa region.
18-year-old Ronald Philip is a victim of sea piracy. They were held up at gunpoint by sea pirates loaded in 3 boats and were demanded to give all their valuables. The pirates got all their properties, including the extra fuel container and the 40-horse outboard motor. They were left stranded for 3 days out at sea after being robbed. Luckily, they were spotted by another boat and were rescued. The matter was then reported to police, but due to the lack of capacity and resources, police were not able to investigate the incident further.
Police must stop now. This lang tani kama police must walk down the street.
Ronald Philip is one of the victims who wants more police presence in the coastal waters of Morobe to minimize sea piracy incidences. They said without a water policing unit, they would remain victims of sea piracy. This is a concern for the government to look into. Yakas Mandulu is a skipper of one of the boats who operates between the waters of Finchafen and Ley for 4 years. He said sea piracy is a serious problem and it is a concern for the government to take into account, adding the national government should assist police with boats and fuel in order to deter pirates from committing the crime.
So concern do mi blaus all government must look good lo LP mi blau lo all police must get plenty good bla organized around no se patrol lo solvaratu.
Police in Morobe province have not made any arrest. Sea piracy still remains a priority for police. Mata Luis, National MTV News, Ley.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3315 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3240 US, $0.469 Australian dollars, $0.2936 euro, and 37.60 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed higher, while gold closed the day lower. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 163 points lower, the ASX closed at 65 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 62 points higher. A pioneer teacher returns to PNG after 4 decades, Mexico pets blessed by priest, and a thrilling air show to start off ski racing. Those stories and more after the break. Welcome back to the news. More than 5,000 people living along Western Highlands and Jiwaka border have been missing out on vital services. Due to their geographical location, people from the LT and Pinambe tribes from Omben, Kitap and Baisu villages do not have access to basic government services. The road has long been neglected and bridges washed away, forcing the people to walk for kilometers before reaching the main highway.
These villages are close to Mount Hagen City, however, there is no electricity connection and their only road has been neglected for years. The road once served as a national highway, forming part of the Highlands Highway, serving institutions such as Baisu Prison. However, over the years, it has slowly deteriorated. Vehicles do not use this road due to its bad state.
Roads and backup, power line no come up. Mibla line black and central close to the city task for this service no come up now. Mibla start on the two-talk place. Also, the Mibla appeal government. Long you like look south, Mibla on store Mibla all people start on the place.
Two of their bridges have been washed away, making it difficult for vehicles to travel on this road. The people here are blaming past and present members of parliament and the service delivery mechanism for bypassing them. Most are confused as to whom to blame because they regard themselves as Western Highlanders. However, the separation from Western Islands has forced them to be part of Juwaka.
Now me not like him all beyond generation blow me. All Scott blow me must feel him this like I'm pain. Now all by struggle or school blow all long look him good plus something where some half only walk look him long end me I think he'll look him.
However, this is not their main concern. They want better roads and bridges and electricity services, which they have not seen since independence. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
A pioneer Australian teacher who first came to PNG and taught in the then Mount Murray Primary School has visited the school after 42 years. Stella Bromilo from Melbourne, Australia says it's exciting to be back in the Sambarigi Valley. Stella was among a delegation including children and grandchildren of pioneer missionaries Donald Mosley and Dick Donaldson, who visited Sambarigi to commemorate its Golden Jubilee. Quinton Alom reports.
She's 71 years old, but her memory about Sambarigi Valley, its people and cultures still remains strong. Stella Bromilo first came to PNG in 1970 when she was 26 years old. She spent a few months in Awaba, Western Province, to learn about the language, culture and appropriate way to behave among the locals. Then she was posted to Sambarigi, where she taught at the local primary school as the head teacher for 4 years.
I believed that God was telling me to come here, and so I applied to the mission, Asia Pacific Christian Mission, and they appointed me here. This place, I was here for 4 years. I was teaching grade 6 at first. I think I taught grade 6 for 2 years. Then I moved to, I think, grade 5 and then grade 4.
After 42 years, the Melbourne woman visited Sambarigi last week. She came back only to see the same classrooms and the house she occupied 42 years ago still used by current teachers. She met few of her students who also shared memories together.
She was my good teacher, and I was very bright too.
Stella was among children and grandchildren of pioneer missionaries Donald Mosley and Dick Donaldson, who visited Sambarigi to celebrate the Evangelical Church of PNG 50th anniversary.
My father was about 20 years old. He believed God was calling him to come to Papua New Guinea and be a missionary. So he went to Bible college, and then he came to Papua New Guinea. He spent some time in the Fly region learning to speak Motu and about Papua New Guinea and how to behave. And then when the mission believed that he had learnt enough, they sent him up to this area here, and he came to Orave, and he walked in here with Alan Sinclair.
I mean, God's put a great love for PNG in my heart, and when I cry a lot when I come up here, because I've got an affinity with the people that I just love. So yeah, I've got a genuine heart to just help this country become successful and prosperous.
The small delegation was impressed with the attitude of Sambarigi people. For Stella Bromilo, though the infrastructure in the school hasn't changed a lot, she had made up her mind to come back to Sambarigi. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
It is not common for us to hear of pets being brought to the altar for blessing. In Mexico, Catholics brought their beloved animal companions to church to be splashed with holy water for blessing. The blessing of pets took place on January the 17th, marking St. Anthony's Day.
The tradition of blessing pets dates back to colonial times. Catholic animal lovers in Mexico brought their pets to the San Bernardino Church on St. Anthony's Day for blessing and to rid any danger or misfortune. St. Anthony was born into wealth and Christianity. It is believed he lost both his parents at an early age. Rejecting the life of luxury his heritage offered, he gave his riches to the poor and pursued solidarity and spiritual enlightenment in the company of animals.
They bring their animals to Paris on St. Anthony's Day, especially people in smaller towns. They bring their animals, their birds, their dogs, their cats to get blessed. Not just here in Mexico, not just here. I've also seen this tradition in southern Italy. The blessing of animals and people entrusting them to St. Anthony.
January 17 marks the anniversary of the death of Saint Anthony. Parishioners also take this time to spend with their furry or sometimes feathered animal companions.
When it comes to the religious aspect, it's a beautiful tradition, you know, that the little animals get the blessing which is just for them, not the typical blessing that is done in some places, which is to bless them because they are food. In this case, they are our pets, our friends, part of our families who are here with us. A nice way to respect them is to take them to get the blessing. Do something with them more than just being pets.
The old-age Catholic tradition was brought to Mexico during the Spanish colonial rule in the 1500s and has been embraced by animal lovers in Mexico due to the prominence of farmhouses in the area. Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
The Swiss resort has been the place to be for the past few days. The Swiss Air Force and Swiss Airlines added extra thrill to the world's fastest downhill race in Switzerland.
At 4.5 kilometers, the Wengen downhill run is the longest in the world, with top speeds of 150 kilometers an hour. But there's one group of guys who are even faster than that. Switzerland's Air Force show team, the Patrouille Suisse. Minutes before the world's best skiers speed down the infamous Lauberhorn course, it's their time to shine.
Travelling at speeds of 800 kilometres an hour, it's impossible to miss them because they're so noisy. And this is when everyone stops to take pictures.
Niels Hammerly is the commander of the Patrouille Suisse. His job is to monitor the show from the top of the Lauberhorn mountain while keeping in contact with the leader of the 5 jets.
And is this a particular challenge because we're so close to the mountains here? It must be quite dangerous, really.
No, it's not dangerous because we have always a safety margin and we always go safety first. As Swiss military pilot, you know, we fly a lot in these areas here.
The air show for the Ski World Cup has been a tradition in Wengen for 15 years and are always a welcome distraction for the skiers as they prepare for the race.
I think that we're probably very similar in the mentality as those guys that are flying up there.
Flying in set formations, the jets are as close as 3 meters apart.
The most spectacular formation, I would say, is the tunnel. I try to fly a triangle, and the solo guys, he flies exactly through the formation with around 900 kilometers per hour.
For the second year running, a Swiss Airlines Airbus A321 is flying alongside the Tiger jets, adding an extra level of risk to the maneuver.
This kind of operation is indeed very special for an airline pilot, because usually we do not fly in the terrain for an audience. In this display, it was the Airbus which was in the lead, and the others are the so-called followers. And there is a constant communication.
Inspired by the speed of Switzerland's finest, it's time for the skiers to lift off.
I envy those guys because I would love to be up there with them.
And that takes us to Trukai Sports, where Jeremy Mogi will give us an update on the OFC Under-17 Women's Championship as well as the NSL. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To football now, and Papua New Guinea and Fiji remain the sides to beat as their opening Group B victories set them apart from their opponents on match day 2 of the 2016 OFC Under-17 Women's Championship. For Papua New Guinea, a win was a much-needed boost as they look to cement their position in the championships.
The late match, which kicked off at 7:30 p.m. to accommodate for both Vanuatu and Papua New Guinea arriving late, was played under the lights at the Sifa Academy and started at a blistering pace. The game only 2 minutes old when Belinda Giara chested down and sent the ball into the back of the net with a powerful shot under Vanuatu keeper Ruth Tate. And despite Vanuatu visiting the attacking end a number of times themselves, it was Papua New Guinea who found the goal once more again, scoring via Anna Malara. By half-time, Giara had collected her hat-trick and Papua New Guinea were ahead by 4-0. A fourth for Giara 2 minutes into the second half propelled her to the top of the Golden Boot rankings and struck a crucial blow to Vanuatu. Both sides dropped in intensity over the next half hour, with the ball recycling through the midfield. A couple of quick-fire goals in the 80th and 82nd minutes to substitutes Mercedes Hapoto, who had been on the field for just 2 minutes, and Selina Unamba took Papua New Guinea out to an impressive 7-0 lead. A Vanuatu penalty a minute into added time was converted by Annie Guerra and at least restored some pride for Joel Rarua's side. Papua New Guinea coach Margaret Aka speaking of her relief at getting through the game after her squad had only arrived 5 hours prior to kickoff.
Thank you. We finally here for the tournament. We nearly missed the tournament due to visa issues, but we're here now, and to get the first win, it's really good for the girls. And not having to rest the last couple of days, I would say, for me it was a little bit nervous for the girls because they didn't have a good rest. But to get this first win, it was exciting.
Top in the pool now remains Papua New Guinea's focus. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Hekari United FC has increased its lead at the top of the Southern Conference in the Telecom National Soccer League after narrowly beating PKA Rapatona 2-1. It was also a proud moment for a mother who watched her son play in the Premier Soccer League. Matilda Wama's son, Wira, has returned from the States to join Hekari while she was flown in from Candrian Gloucester District in West New Britain to meet him.
It was an emotional moment for Matilda, who hasn't seen her son in 2 years due to study and playing commitments in the United States.
Me talk thank you, lo Papa God, lo presence blomi lo yal looking pikini blomi play. Na me talk thank you lo M2 em salimem lo America ikam play lo what must be.
For her, the journey had been difficult, but she expressed her gratitude for Hekari club owners, Vonnie and John Capinato.
Lo time blong all, only give him this pla pikinini, only give him opportunity lo go down lo America, lo school, lo play na lo school, lo Bible too na. Amamas you see lo mi amamas no go through na mi thinking Papa God lo des la tu pla.
As with any mother, there were signs of pride in her eyes watching her son play.
Mi amamas turu na mi no na express amamas blo mi big pla amamas turu. Also me talk, also more get a something, and start plan the big plan, and me talk thank you, lo pikinini come down, and play na. And me ti bin salim ticket to go down, me travel lo Gloucester, Bahrain, lo night ti come up, me ting early flight by me kisim na no got me come straight to 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock and me start him game na me come na. First half and me start it na me looking pikinini and play na me mas no good through.
Wirawama is currently the holding midfielder with Hekari, returning to join the squad in a bid to boost their chances in the upcoming Oceania Champions League, which will include a tough opening encounter against New Zealand side, Wellington FC. He has also been included in the PNG national team as well for the Oceania Nations Cup, but that participation will depend on his availability for the country. Nonetheless, his mother has only appreciation for what has been provided for him. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. The PNG Hunters to take on the Penrith Panthers at the National Football Stadium. The details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The National Football Stadium will be opened on the 6th of February. In a news conference today, PNG RFL CEO Bob Cutmore said the Hunters will play the Penrith Panthers New South Wales Cup side to officially open the venue. Sports Minister Justin Chichenko also said he was delighted that the opening of the stadium would witness PNG's favourite team, the PNG Hunters.
The PNG Hunters have agreed to host the first game to be played at the new National Football Stadium against the Penrith Panthers New South Wales Cup side on the 6th of February. PNG RFL CEO Bob Cutmore made this announcement today.
We're here to announce that the first trial game that the SP Hunters will be played at the National Football Stadium on the 6th of February.
The PNG RFL and PNG Hunters acknowledge the rugby league legacy associated with the National Football Stadium, formerly known as the Lloyd Robson Oval. Sports Minister Justin Chichenko said it was only fitting the stadium is officially opened by the country's national sport, rugby league.
The Panthers game against the Hunters is just a testament of where rugby league is going into the future. I thank the trustee and the board of Royal Search and PRL for coming together and seeing the future of rugby league in this stadium.
The trial game at the NSF come February 6 is a one-off special event as the Hunters are still in negotiation in respect to the host venue for the 2016 season. Jaylee Sapies, National EMTV Sports.
To some NRL news, and Sydney Roosters centre Michael Jennings has announced he is joining Parramatta Eels this year on a 4-year contract. The Roosters have also confirmed Brisbane centre Dale Copley as Jennings' replacement. The changes are said to take place by the end of the week. Jaylee Sapies reports.
Michael Jennings has played 193 NRL games and has made 16 State of Origin appearances for the New South Wales. His inclusion comes as a major boost for the Parramatta Eels after losing Jared Hayne and Will Hopoate last season. Jennings says he's excited about playing for the Eels following his success, scoring 41 tries in 71 matches for his former club, the Sydney Roosters. Parramatta's a club on the rise, and I'm looking forward to the challenge, taking a leadership role and further developing my game, Jennings said. The 27-year-old will join Michael Gordon and Beau Scott in the blue and gold jersey as the team aims to reach the top 8 for the first time since 2009. The NRL season kicks off on Thursday the 3rd of March. Jaylee Sapies, National EMTV Sports.
The Southern Region leg of the Ipatas Cup is scheduled to begin at the end of this month. Youth from Port Moresby North East have received support from lawyer Carl Okuk, who is sponsoring 6 teams to compete in the tournament.
The youths from Port Moresby North East will now be competing in the Ipatas Cup Southern Leg competition. And North East Reform Youths Association Chairman Stanley James said the youths are grateful for the support and look forward to playing.
Now me taking the initiative, sponsoring blog on the Ipatas Cup, and blog again big thing. Not to thank you from blog Kalokuk, SMS sponsor from Mibla. Nambla William was Miro was going to win him the game na. Give him good name go back no sponsor Mibla. Thank you.
The Ipatas Cup Southern Leg will be held at Maribarex Oval, with the tournament set to begin at the end of the month and the finals to be played in early February.
So the venue will be at Maribarex. What time? On the 30th to 31st of this month, and then 6th and 7th will play of the finals. And then the winner goes up with a bullet pass to lay and make it through the Ipatas Cup finals.
As chairman of the competition, he was thankful for the support Carl Okuk has provided for the youths to be a part of the competition.
I was so proud that an individual came to sponsor 60 teams in this team, which is no huge. And it's very costly, but maybe he has his own reason. And I don't need to know, but I'm so proud that he's coming up with too many teams. I actually call him, but to text him personally to say thank you to him for getting all of which involved in a big number of teams to participate in the biggest off-season. As a chairman, I'm honored.
Okuk has been supportive of Port Moresby North East sports in the community. Over the festive season, he held a tournament for various sports such as rugby and volleyball.
And I'm more than willing to support my people, my youths, through the
Northeast Youth Reformation Association of Northeast for this year and for years to come, if they choose to participate in the competition again next year.
The youths now look forward to competing in the Ipatas Cup with the hope of winning the tournament. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
And that's where we end Trukai Sports for today. The weather report for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby, possible evening showers and thunderstorms. Brief showers expected in Daru, brief showers and possible thunderstorms for Kerama, cloudy periods for Alotau, and brief showers in Popondetta. To the Momase region, Lae, Wiebeek and Vanimo, you can expect brief showers and thunderstorms expected in Madang. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, cloudy with brief showers expected in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, showers and thunderstorms expected in Kimbe, and cloudy periods with brief showers expected in Buka. And in the Highlands region, showers then fog for Mount Hagen, and showers and thunderstorms expected in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabag. Before we go, recapping our top stories for tonight. Papua New Guinea to help Tonga to host the next Pacific Games in 2019. The ICCC urges businesses to lower prices of goods and services, and the PNG Hunters to open the National Football Stadium. And that has been the news, sports and weather for today, the 18th of January 2016. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, I'm Marabatullo. Pleasant viewing. Good night.